Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Paws podcast. I am Spooner Sloth, and I'm joined by my friend HP Fox. How you doing, Fox?
Not too bad. Some astute viewers might notice a little bit of a change in the lighting. We are recording this at night instead of, well, I was going to say instead of in the morning, but it's usually only morning for me.
Right on.
So I'm a little perkier than usual, and I think Spoon is a little less perky than usual.
I am going to try my hardest not to cuss as much as I normally do when I'm relatively tired, but I make no promises whatsoever.
We're working on finding just the perfect time for recording for the both of us, and we're getting there. It's close.
Right. Like, so we were doing daytimes, on a Monday, which doesn't work anymore because I stream during days. And HP Fox is usually like rolling out of bed at the crack of noon.
Yep.
So it's one of those. Now we're switching it up to Thursday late at night, and this episode should be out by tomorrow. But that's just behind the scenes stuff.
Tomorrow.
None of y'all care about this, right?
It's record, crunch time, get it out.
Exactly.
But, I think it's gonna work out.
I think it's gonna work out too, man. And maybe we'll find some kind of happy medium. A little bit earlier, but. I digress. Let's get back on topic. Today we're talking about a bit of a hot issue recently. It's not just a hot issue because it's trending, it's happening, it's on people's minds at the moment, especially since we're in this season entering fall, kind of getting into what I would personally consider like convention season, but or the ascent of convention season, sorry. But it's also a hot topic in my opinion because people get really, everybody's got an opinion. Right?
Yes.
Everybody's got an opinion, and there's a lot of anxiety around the subject. We're talking about personal security. That is digital security online, your address getting doxxed, your phone number, things like that, threats being made to you online, divulging your identity, that sort of thing. But also like event security, real life security, at a convention, at a gaming tournament, at a meetup, things of that nature. So, obviously, we're bringing it up, full transparency, because recently there, and I say recently because I think it was last month. Last month was the things in Jacksonville.
I think so.
Right. So in Jacksonville, Florida, for those of you that maybe have been living under a rock or forgot already, which is pretty also believable, there was, I guess it's not classified a mass shooting because there wasn't more than 5 deaths, but there was a shooting event that happened in Jacksonville, Florida, at a Madden NFL tournament that was being held at a barcade, and this was streamed on Twitch. Now the actual shooting itself and seeing the carnage and what happened, that was not the feed cut out. Thank goodness it did. But
yeah,
there were
and
clips.
I think it was just right scene switch at the right time type of thing.
Yeah.
They were kind of in the process of switching the scenes anyway when this event started to occur.
Right, and don't you can still look for and find the clips. Probably somebody's uploaded them to YouTube or somewhere they're available. I did, and it is chilling. I typically don't get. I'm an internet generation dude, man. I don't get fazed by much, but seeing an actual hearing.
Yeah, hearing in this case.
Yeah, hearing it and then seeing, I think it was the laser dot on this, kind of like careening across this dude's shoulder just before it's scene transitions and you hear shots fired. It's really, really, it kind of brings it more into the realm of real, right?
Yeah, and kind of not to pile on the depression here, but in addition to this incident, there was also an incident that occurred, I think just a week or two ago with Dr. Disrespect, where somebody went to his house and fired shots at his house.
Yep.
Now, I don't care what you think of Dr. Disrespect himself. You don't do that.
Well, no, he's got a kid, for Christ's sake.
I don't care if you dislike his content. I don't care if you dislike him on a personal level. You have to agree that this is just outrageous that this sort of thing is happening.
Right. And
And
it turned out it was 2 days in a row that somebody had
yep,
shot at his house. The second day, which was when it was caught on stream, and he ended the stream abruptly, was because they broke a window.
yep.
Police reports later said that it was a BB gun. But at the end of the day, it's like, whatever happened to leaving bags of flaming shit on somebody's doorstep?
I'm gonna pile on a little bit more onto this fire because there is something else to a much lesser degree than these other things, but I feel like it's important to mention it just because it's still within the realm. Hunter and I
Oh,
actually had a guy
I was about
tell
to mention
us
this.
a couple days back that, hey, I sent a bomb to your PO box.
And you know what? There's somebody out there right now that's ready to type up on that hashtag Press Pause podcast. You
Yeah,
know, who's getting ready to just say like, "Hey, it's the internet. You should be used to this happening on the internet." Like, two things to say. First and foremost, go fuck yourself. Secondly, no, it's not just the internet. You can't just brush away and say that, oh, you're online, you're putting yourself out there as a personality, you should expect this thing. No, in what kind of garbage fucking reality do you live in where you think that this is a
yeah,
normal, okay behavior to say, well, I put myself on the internet and I'm a live streamer or a YouTuber or whatever the hell, an Instagram model, whatever it is that I do on the internet. I put myself out there on the internet, so it's expected that I will not have any privacy, that people will find my home, might get shot at, I might get a bomb threat called in my direction. No, that's not fucking
yeah.
normal.
The fact that some people think that this is something that you should just kind of expect in this kind of content creation realm or industry is in and of itself one of the big factors that lead to this being a problem in the first place.
Right.
That it's something that people look at and go, yeah, well, okay, I mean, that happens in this space. That's fine. That's not fine. Under any circumstances, that is not fine.
Right. No, I agree entirely. It's interesting. The more that I thought about it, I tried to dissect it. Like when I heard about the PO box bomb threat with Hunter and the way he reacted to it as well. I think the guy's commentary was something about like toxic masculinity or compromise, being a compromised male. I forgot what his bullshit neckbeard pseudo intellectual commentary was. To try to.
I will say the commentary that he had on this particular incident is influenced by information that I dug up about the person that sent us the bomb threat.
Yeah.
Um,
So, look, but we're not going to get into specifics, obviously.
yeah,
But,
it does actually play into the whole personal security thing, though.
right.
I I don't want to get creepy with this, but I mean, this guy he threatened us with a bomb, so of course I'm going to investigate this.
Well, of
I
course.
actually found right down to the city where this guy lived,
Yeah.
just by the information that he had put out there in daily conversation online. I'm not going to tell you where he lives because I do not, under any circumstances, think it's appropriate to go after people.
Right.
That,
There's no witch hunts.
in the way that the internet tends to do sometimes. It's not appropriate ever. But I found out which continent the guy lived on, what country he was from, which city within that country he was from, just from conversations that he had online that I was able to dig up.
Right. And there's that perception, I want to say, somebody will be like, oh, well, he could have just been using a VPN. I'm like, there's that brings me to, I guess, to the first point, right? When it comes to digital security, you could VPN, you could bounce your signal to 20 different places. It's still going to be found. If somebody is motivated enough, if you told me that you were going to attack and hurt my family or called a bomb threat to my house or anything like that, I would be highly motivated to do everything in my power to find you and alert the authorities and just get you put away. there are certain things that you cannot underestimate how far somebody's willing to go to find you online. That goes for finding people who are, I guess, like in a redemption kind of way, finding when, like what you did, finding the guy that called in threat. And it also goes the other way, like somebody finding out your information. And it's interesting, especially with the Dr. Disrespect thing. He is somebody that I would consider to be like upper echelon. He's very popular, has a massive following, kind of like Ninja, massive following.
Yeah.
A lot of us broadcasters, a lot of famous YouTubers. There have been a lot of YouTubers, getting their homes invaded, getting people, coming to their places with guns and so forth. It's somebody made a comment. I was reading about the whole incident, and somebody made the comment about how, you don't see this sort of thing happening to like Beyonce. And it made me think, because I go, well, when you look at your traditional entertainment celebrity, I use celebrity, like in quotations, right? When somebody gets a taste of celebrity, people that are really popular on Vine or YouTube or Twitter or Twitch or Instagram, whatever. Traditional form of celebrity, like musicians, movie stars, TV stars, and so forth, they have the infrastructure and the training. They have an agent. They live in typically gated communities. They have an entourage or bodyguards. They kind of have the support infrastructure of people around them to keep them relatively safe for the most part.
Yeah, they're oftentimes in a position where they can, actually pay experts in the field to make sure that that kind of information about them either isn't publicly available or is very difficult to turn up.
Right. Most of us streamers, we live in houses like everybody else. 99% of the broadcasters that I know of on Twitch, that includes all of the broadcasts on Twitch, don't make six figures a year, not even close. They make about as much as like a manager at a fast food place, maybe a little bit more.
Some are lucky to make 4 figures a year.
Right. So it's really interesting how that whole dynamic is kind of built up. Now we have this situation where there's, there are people out there like your Ninjas, like your Dr. Disrespects, like hell, like Hunter Wild and so forth. And if there's just enough, you live in apartment buildings, you live in a neighborhood, like on a cul-de-sac. You don't have a gate. You don't have security detail going with you when you go to the grocery store. If you get recognized, you typically, you get recognized, and it's alarming. I'm terrified. I luckily haven't been recognized. I wear my Twitch hoodie, and I've had people at drive-thrus be like, "Hey man, do you stream?" And I tell them yes. I don't tell them my name because I live in a smallish town, and I can think in my head, yeah, that dude's gonna find me, and now one more person knows where I live. I've got 3 kids.
And I don't want to play into anyone's paranoia about this entire topic, but if someone wants to find you, if someone really wants to find you, they're gonna find you.
Right.
So people that know me on a personal level know that I have had many quote-unquote careers, many jobs, and I have actually worked in the sort of online security field in a way, indirectly. I'm not going to go any further than that. So I understand a lot of the tactics that are used to track people down, and one of the biggest aspects of it is a part of social engineering, where they will look at the way you speak, the words that you use, the people that you speak to, the circles that you're involved in order to kind of pinpoint where in the world you are. Like that's what I did with this guy that threatened us with a bomb. I looked at the way he was talking to people. I looked at the words, the slang that he used. I figured out where in the world that kind of speech is used, and I narrowed it down. I was able to confirm that yes, he is here. And so using stuff like that, people can and will find you. There's really no way to protect yourself against that because it's in the way that you speak, essentially.
Right.
But on a security level, protecting your address, PO boxes, get a PO box in a city that you don't live in,
Right.
type of thing. There are definitely steps you can take to make it really, really difficult for people to track you down, and I think that's kind of something that we want to address in this topic here today.
Right. I mean, yeah, we can talk. We've talked all of, you know, it's no surprise, right, that people, well, that us as a culture, you know, Western culture in general, has essentially done a lot of giving up of privacy in order for convenience, right? It's the infinite scale, right? You're going to give up your privacy, but you're going to have convenience, right? Not to mention just between algorithms and search engines and all the other crap that we're doing, you know, everybody's kind of look at what you're doing as is, right?
Yep.
Your emails are being read, your friggin' all your instant messages are being read and documented in some way, shape, or form. So the best you can do, unless you live in a Faraday cage, is make it just more of a pain in the ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's got a grudge, and I was talking earlier about motivation. If somebody is motivated enough, they'll find what they're gonna find, right?
Yep.
They'll find you. The average person that just wants to be a dick and just wants to have a couple of laughs and to screw with you and to just be your basic internet troll, just making it more of a pain in the ass, making it take longer. You make it take like a couple days to track you down versus a couple of minutes, maybe even a couple hours.
Yeah, because
that's a big difference.
Those, I guess, casual trolls, if they don't turn anything up in their initial search, then that's usually where they stop.
Right.
And that's, in most cases, that's good enough. But there is that next level of troll where they will, you know, they'll go beyond that first search and they'll dig a little deeper, and that's where you start to get into the realm of, okay, well, how can I protect myself against this? And the number one recommendation that I would give, and I always feel weird saying this just because it sounds filthy, but Google yourself.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt, a doubt. Like, do it in a different browser than your own, one that is not already tainted by Google's cookies, or flush everything.
For most of us, that's going to be Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge.
Right.
So open up your Microsoft browser of choice, and
I can't use Edge. I try. My wife gets mad at me for not using Edge on occasion. Edge is. We're not getting. That's a different podcast.
For accounts that I don't want associated with my regular accounts.
Right.
So like business accounts and stuff, they can stay over there and save nothing to the browser. That's fine. Right. Anyway. Open up a browser that you don't typically use and just Google yourself. See what you can turn up, and I guess Bing yourself too.
Bing is still a thing.
If that's a thing.
You almost choked on that word. God.
Alta Vista yourself, whatever it happens to be. And see what you can turn up about your personal information. And then take steps to hide that information now that you know what it is, because if you can turn it up, anybody can turn it up.
Right. And then there's, aside from all the online things you can do, which is common sense stuff, you know, you don't tell people where you live, you don't give out your address. It's stuff that parents should be telling their kids, that most people who decide they want to become a presence online should be doing. It's almost a common sense kind of thing to me. But also there is I would say there's like a preparedness level too. You know, if you start to get popular as a YouTuber, you start to get popular on Twitch or even on Instagram or anything like that, go to your local police station, go to your local sheriff's department or office, and literally tell them, hey, I'm so-and-so, I live at so-and-so, this is what I do for a living. Are you aware and know what swatting is? Are you aware, you know, like, what will it take to patrol by my neighborhood once every couple of weeks or something?
Yeah, go there prepared to explain to them, you know, what your industry is and what the potential risks are. It's more common knowledge now, swatting and stuff, than it has been in the past, but that doesn't necessarily mean your local police are going to know what it is. Right. So be prepared to explain to them, you know, hey, this is a thing that sometimes happens within my industry. I want to be able to take steps to protect myself against it.
Right.
And you know, you'll have that conversation with them, and it's just an extra level. And I'd say on top of that, have that same type of conversation with close friends and relatives, because you never know what kind of situation you may be in where you have to reach out to them.
Right. And I would say even so with your household, and be prepared to, like, bring in articles. Just get on your phone, look up whatever article, a Kotaku article or CNN, or even any local news article about what happened with swatting, and there's video there too, so you can show us, like, this is what happened to the dude.
Yeah.
In addition to all of this, and talking to family members, explaining to your family members, hey, this is what I'm doing. Kids, don't tell your friends where we live and what I do or what mom does or whatever the hell it is. Like, do that, or your siblings. If you live, or roommates if you live in a place with roomies, things of that nature. As well, you wanna. I mean, this might even be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but prepare your home, prepare yourself, be yourself as much a deterrent as possible, right?
Yeah,
and I'm not saying go out and buy a gun and get armed, or go get
we're
yourself
not
a
recommending that you like put iron bars on your windows and have like 46 deadlocks on your door and all that stuff. You don't have to go to that level, to that extreme. That's not what we're saying. It's just make sure you and the people around you have the necessary information about what could happen.
Right.
Everybody hopes to their selected gods that they never have to deal with this sort of thing ever, and that would be the ideal scenario. But it's better to be prepared and not have to utilize that preparedness than to suddenly find yourself in one of those situations with no idea what to do, where the police may not have any idea what to do, where your friends and family might not know what to do. Just get that information out there to protect yourself and protect the ones around you.
Right, and it's also setting expectations too, I think, to your community. If you are yourself a broadcaster or you're a community manager or anything like that, I've told my chat countless times to go, hey, I love you guys. If somebody that I don't recognize shows up outside my house, the first thing I'm doing is calling the police. Like, I don't mean anything personal by it. You may have the most wonderful of intentions, but the moment I see somebody I don't recognize knocking on my door, I don't open the door and say hello. I look in the window and I will say hello through the camera I have at my front door, or I will, if it looks kind of sketchy in general, it looks a little bit sus, then I will definitely call the police,
Yeah.
They don't charge you money to call 911. It's not like an ambulance. They'll come to your house and they'll do whatever it is they got to do. And it's not you calling a false claim and go, look, man, there's somebody at my front door. Hey, come by,
Yeah, and
I think that's a big one, too. Like what happened to Elohim.
Can't really speak to how it works down there, since I'm in Canada and Spooney's in the United States. But I myself have, called the police on numerous occasions for numerous things. And as Spoon said, it's not like they charge you to call the police. And it's not like you have to call the emergency number every time either. They have a regular number that you can call that still connects you to the police. It's just not emergency dispatch type of thing. So understand what those options are as well.
Right. And it was interesting because when we had incidents of vandalism and stuff in the area behind our home, and when we finally did get around to talking to them, the police showed up and we got around to talking to them. They said, hey, listen, it's okay to call 911. Like, if you call 911 and say, I believe there's somebody outside my house, this is not like an emergency, then they will still deal with that call. They'll still deal with it appropriately. It's not like you're going to get in trouble or they're going to suddenly stop, answering your calls or anything like that. Yeah. So if you don't know the number, but you can look up, whatever it is, it's usually police. It's usually something police. But I digress. Do you have any other tips for personal, online digital kind of security other than the common sense stuff that we kind of?
I mean, a lot of it is just common sense. It's make sure that you literally aren't putting your address out there in the world. If you have things like Amazon affiliate things on your broadcast or whatever it happens to be, make sure that your address isn't displayed in that affiliate ship. that sort of stuff. Google yourself to see what information comes up, and just be aware when you're speaking to people what exactly you're telling them. Because even just mentioning in passing where you might live to somebody that you know very well, it can be overheard by someone that you don't know, someone that may have ill intent. You never know. I
Right.
mean, it's the internet. We are a public space all the time.
Yeah, and obviously try to avoid like house tours on your phone, to this look at my new house that I just bought. Guys, let's do a tour of it. Let me show you
Yeah.
every room and the layout of the house, and oh, look at the really cool unique park that's right next to where I live that somebody could take a still Google image search
Yeah.
and like find out very, very, very quickly and accurately where you're at, that kind of thing. Also,
Yeah.
this kind of segues into event security. If you're going out, to a restaurant with a bunch of other influencers, broadcasters, entertainers, friends, and you want to post a picture about it, be smart about that. People can, if you do that a lot, it's really easy to say, oh, that person lives in this area. This person lives in the Corpus Christi area because he's going to all these different restaurants, that are in the general vicinity. And man, that's a really long drive if he doesn't live nearby there. So I guess I kind of know the general area where this person's at. And then from there on, once it gets narrowed down, it's just infinitely easier. Like we talked about earlier, it's less of a pain in the ass. It's faster for them to find what they want to find.
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually use Hunter again as an example for this exact thing. He often gets the question because he used to live in Indiana. Now he lives over here on the West Coast, and he's happy about that. He tells people that he's over here. This is where he's wanted to live like his whole life. And people are like, oh yeah, I live in Portland. I'm your neighbor. And he's like, yeah, cool. We live in this city. He doesn't actually live in Portland.
Well, yeah.
He doesn't actually live in Vancouver, Washington. He doesn't live in these cities that, he essentially says that he lives in. It's the area, but he's aware that, maybe I shouldn't tell people this one little town that I live in that's,
right,
nestled in between these big cities. Otherwise, everyone's going to know exactly where I am.
right.
And so when he posts pictures and stuff online, he was at like I think a goth club the other night or something in Portland.
Right. I saw that picture.
Yeah, they're pictures of places in a different city than
Right.
where he actually lives.
Yeah, and I relate to that big time. I just tell me, yeah, Seattle. Yeah, I'm Seattle based, right? I don't
Yep.
live in Seattle. I'm not a millionaire. For anybody who's in the Pacific Northwest, it's freaking ridiculously expensive to live in Seattle proper. But
Yep.
for all intents and purposes, yeah. For all intents and purposes, Seattle. That's where you want to think.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I tell
Yeah.
people I live in Vancouver, BC. I don't actually live in Vancouver. I live outside of Vancouver.
Right.
But
And you don't want to. You
for
never want to
me-
get specific, right?
for me, I probably could get away with being a little more specific, but I don't really need to because this entire area that I live in is, I think there's like 10 cities or something here, all crammed into this one valley.
Right.
So it's like, I live in Vancouver, but you could literally be one of millions of people in the area. So
Right. And there's also different. It's not even I want to say it's a psychological. It's almost a sociological response. People that want to know more about you, which will obviously happen when you meet folks at a convention, when you talk to people in chat, when you read comments. They will volunteer information about themselves, and the part of the social contract, the expectation is, well, I told you where I live. Where do you live?
Yeah.
And they don't even have to ask that. You think, oh yeah, man, I live in so and so. I know, yeah, because you're trying to build that kind of connection. Don't do that. Try to. It's a reflex. It's almost like built into us as a social animal, as people. But
yeah, and
you can be
maybe
vague.
if someone is doing that to you, perhaps try to instead say, "Oh yeah, I live in this city." Go, "Oh, I've always wanted to visit that place
Right.
that you just mentioned you live in."
Right. You can be vague. Like don't
Yeah.
feel. And you know what? Hey, for the the infinite viewers out there, or for people that caught themselves doing that, it's not like you're a horrible person. You're not trying to dox somebody or sneak out a bunch of information from them, but understand what it is that you're asking. Especially if you meet somebody at TwitchCon, which is coming up, and we're about to talk about that in a second, or at a meetup or anything like that. Be fully aware that, man, if I was this person, would I be comfortable, divulging information? So don't get all pissy if the person that you're talking to, the celebrity, the person that you're subscribed to or that you follow, whatever it is, if they're not willing to give up certain information, it's nothing against you. It's nothing personal. It's just one less person on a list that I need to check if anything happens. There's one less loose end that I got to worry about.
It goes back to something that seems to be a recurring theme in our conversations here, is just be mindful of what you're saying and what those around you are saying, because the impacts can sometimes be far-reaching.
Right. Speaking about impacts and far-reaching, so in response to all of this that happened with Jacksonville and this rising concern of personal security and safety, especially at events, we saw what happened with PAX Prime. I'm never going to call it PAX West. PAX Prime happened, and people were still up in arms, as usual, upset. People chose not to go to PAX this year because their security was relatively lax. Thankfully, nothing happened on a big scale. I think there was some kerfuffle, but I didn't really look into it. So Twitch has officially responded and said that we care about your safety at TwitchCon. These are the new measures we're putting in. The measures are basically you cannot have a backpack. Backpacks are banned from TwitchCon, and they're going to have more security checkpoints. At which point, I kind of look at that, and I say, in as polite and kind a way as possible, that security theater, that ain't going to do shit. If I'm being very, very blunt and honest and open, that would be security theater. Realistically speaking, the odds of somebody doing something inside the convention are so minuscule as compared to something happening just outside the convention, where you have the insane mob of, if you've been to TwitchCon last year, when there's just a mass of humanity of like a couple hundred people wedged in a ball like cattle that are trying to move through a metal detector in like 2 doors that are available to enter. That's where shit's gonna go down.
Yeah, and I feel like people have perhaps unrealistic expectations for the companies, for the entities that are hosting these conventions, because there's only so much that they can do.
Right.
They can handle security on the convention floor grounds, within the hall itself. That's all in their realm. But as soon as you step outside of those doors, as soon as you step off of that property, legally there's nothing that they can do.
Right.
Now, Twitch has said in their more detailed blog post about security that they are working with the local law enforcement of San Jose to help protect all the people that are going to be attending this convention. And that is something that I would love to see be a focus of, maybe not necessarily all, but at the very least the larger conventions that happen every year.
Oh yeah.
I would like to see these companies and these entities do exactly that. Work with the local law enforcement, work with the convention staff, work with their own staff, even hire outside security if they need to help protect the people that are attending these conventions. Because as sad as it is, this seems to be an issue that is on the rise. These incidents,
it's not going away. And you would think it'd be like a wave, right? You'd have just a surge of some dumb shit happening, and then it would peter off and then rise again. No, this is just kind of like mounting. And I don't personally, I've been trying to analyze it and looking at it through the lens of somebody who likes to study this sort of thing. And I can't make any rhyme or reason. That's why even at the beginning of the stream, I was like, whatever happened to you know, flaming bags of dog crap or calling in like
Mhm.
100 pizza delivery, like pranks, what a prank really is. Not race baiting, not harassment, not, threats of bodily harm or death, like none of that crap. Like, why does everybody feel the need to amp it up? Like, it's not going to be taken as seriously if I don't threaten somebody's life. If I don't tell them I'm gonna find them and kill them and all this horrible crap, then they're not
Mhm.
gonna be taking me serious. It's like, what is the end goal? It really. I know it's a topic for another time, but
It's
it strikes me
yeah.
as a little bit bizarre. I can't. It's a square peg in a round hole. I cannot rationalize it. I can't balance the equation in my head. And yeah,
It's a
it's security theater.
discussion that's difficult to approach without either, sounding like an old ancient person yelling at kids these days, or getting into a political discussion. It's like we're not here for that,
Right.
but we do need to acknowledge that those things are playing at least a role in the attitude that seems to be more prevalent these days.
Yeah.
Um,
We're having the
but
spoon yells at cloud kind of
yeah,
moment. Like angry
uh,
spoon yells at cloud, news at 11.
so kind of getting back on track with convention security, I do want to give some props to Twitch for making the moves that are within their power to raise the security on and around the convention hall. As mentioned, there's only so much they can do as a company visiting this city.
Right. Remember, it's not their
So
home turf. I mean, hell, they're based out of
yeah,
San Francisco.
and like if it was happening on Twitch property, then it would be a completely different scenario. But this is a public convention hall, and they have to work with the convention hall staff and the local law enforcement to provide that security to the attendees. And they are doing, from the sounds of it, they're doing what they can. I have no doubt that we're going to see some things lacking when we actually get to the convention. That's just the way this works. That's
Right.
the process of creating that next level of security. What did we do wrong this time? How can we improve it next time, type of thing. But I expect the security to be a lot better at TwitchCon than it was at PAX West or PAX Prime.
Right. No,
I
I agree.
heard a few people say about PAX West Prime. I'm just going to call it West.
Just call it West. It's okay.
Um,
I forgive you.
Thank you. Um, I heard a few people say about PAX West that they were happy with the security that was present, but the voices that were unhappy with it far outweighed the ones that were happy with it.
Right.
And I think it was Moblord, or Moblord behind the guise of Streamer News, put out a poll asking people if they would attend PAX West again with that same level of security, and a lot of people said, I am not going back to this convention until they improve security.
Yeah.
And
You've been to PAX West, right? You've been to PAX Prime.
I have not, actually.
Okay.
I have not been to any PAXs.
I've only been to two, and the one I went to in 2013, and the one that I went to in 2016. No, 17. Yeah, I went last year, but I went last year because a viewer was going and was like, "I got a ticket." I'm like, "Cool, I don't." So, like, I went over there and hung out with this dude Joe. But it's if you've ever been to downtown Seattle, specifically where the convention center is, it
Yep.
is just there is no real policing it. There's very little that can be done in general to kind of provide a purely safe kind of experience. It's about as safe as can be expected for any large gathering of people.
Yeah, and Seattle is a very condensed city.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, fuck, man, I could go for hours on that. But I mean, as far as TwitchCon goes, I think I kind of want to go back. Like, I've had this argument about like not to get on a tangent, but because it's relevant, like the TSA. I consider the TSA to be very security theater. It makes people feel kind of safe. They feel like I'm going through all this bullshit, right? it's gotta be for something. It really isn't. But
I always get selected to put in that like scanning machine. I don't know what it is about me. I just look like a thug or something.
I don't know. You absolutely like a thug, man. Look with the toque on and everything, and the
I'm
tattoos.
sorry, with the what on?
The toque,
The toque?
the toque,
The toque?
the beanie on your head. Yeah,
I don't
the Canadian
recognize what that
beanie.
is.
Yeah, don't go there with me, dude. I can't even
It
pronounce the
does
word
have
right.
a maple leaf on it and a hockey player.
You can't possibly get more Canadian with that. That's awesome. And anyway, like there's a lot of things that actually have increased our security, and it's not necessarily the official open public measures that are taken. It's more like people are much more vigilant than they were
Mhm.
before. People are, it's not that they're on edge all the time, but hey, if you do see a bag or you see somebody that looks suspect as fuck or some kind of shifty stuff, then yeah, you typically speak up about it. And if you don't, what are you even doing? Right?
Yeah, and there has to be, with conventions specifically, there has to be a balance with the security, because there's I mean these are essentially, kind of with the exception of TwitchCon, they're business conventions.
Mm-hmm.
And at a business convention, you always need to be at a specific place at a specific time. And if you're taking an hour to get, sometimes more, like 2 hours to get through security, you're going to miss that appointment, and nobody is going to be happy about that.
Right.
And it's going to be very public, because it's a very public industry. It's just going to be a shit show. So you have to find that balance of keeping the flow going in and out of the hall while maintaining good security. And I'm not even going to begin to guess how difficult that is.
Oh, the logistics must be a nightmare.
Yeah, I can't even comprehend it. It's just insane, and nobody's ever going to be completely happy with it. People are going to want more security. Other people are going to want to be able to get through security quicker, and you just can't have it both ways all the time and have everybody happy. So
Right.
being in a position where you have to organize that sort of thing for a convention, especially one the size of PAX West or East or TwitchCon. TwitchCon's really getting up there in size now. It's a nightmare, and I don't envy these people. But at the same time, we do need to speak out about the issues with the security that we see, and where we feel it could be improved, because it's our safety. It's, in certain cases, it's literally our lives.
Yeah. And
And
depending on how things work out, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not even being dramatic. This is literally what is at stake. I mean, we go back to Jacksonville. If anybody's, oh, you're being dramatic. You're being dramatic. It's this, okay, yeah, well, tell that to the people that went to a video game tournament at a barcade on a Saturday, and what happened. Like this
Yeah.
travesty fucking happened. It wasn't like the dude had a bunch of red flags or anything. He wasn't, from what I remember, in reported by the news and the authorities, he wasn't like a lunatic. He was just. What happened
mean,
happened. It was a crime of passion, whatever the hell they want to call it at the time.
yeah, there's, in the stories, there's always things that they highlight as, oh, this was the cause, this was the issue, and that may very well be, it may not be. That's not really the topic that we're covering here.
Right.
But it is kind of a reflection on the security as a whole. It's disgusting to say that our lives are literally on the line in cases like this. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. People have died in almost every single one of these incidents. People have died.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be diligent about our security. We have to be understanding with the venues and with the hosts and everything, but we have to be diligent about what we want and where we see the faults, so that those can be improved, they can be fixed, they can be patched, whatever, for the future, so we can go to these conventions and we can hang out with our friends, and we can feel as safe as possible in the circumstances. We don't have to constantly be looking over our shoulder or worried about
Right.
what may or may not happen. I know tons of people last year for TwitchCon that said to me, you know, one of the things that I'm worried about is my safety. What are they doing to prevent bomb threats, to prevent these weapon attacks, whatever it may be? And that was last year. That was before all the shit that happened this year.
Right.
So it's
This year
just,
has been really fucking manic, hasn't
it
it?
really has. It's just, it's a sticking point for conventions and for the hosts and for the attendees. We all need to work together to produce the environment where we can all feel safe.
Right, and you know that's what I wanted as kind of like a last word. And that's what I wanted to touch on was I get the feeling that for some individuals, not a lot, not all, but enough individuals, they fall into the camp where you place the sole responsibility on the person organizing the convention, the person organizing the meetup, right? The meet and greet, the whatever it is, the tournament, etc. And I would venture to say that no, it's not only up to Twitch or only up to Penny Arcade or the guys who are down in Guardian Con in Tampa or whatever meetups, streamer meetups. There's always one going off some city. Like you said, I think it's all of us. It's the best thing that what I plan on doing, just to throw it out there, like when it comes to TwitchCon, I'm communicating with my wife, I'm communicating with Impius and with you and with everybody that I can, that I know I will be spending time with at the convention. Be like, hey, this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm staying, and this is, you know, like, can we just have, like, last at TwitchCon, we had this common DM on Twitter.
Yep.
And it was one of the, and I even exchanged phone numbers with a couple of folks because it was like the first time ever go, hey, this is where we're at. Where are you at? Let me check in. Are you okay? What's going on? What's happening? So that if somebody misses and somebody falls off grid or something happens, heaven forbid, at one of these things, I can just send, okay, here's the APB, man. Everybody, this is what's happening. That
Yep.
communication and that expectation of the people you meet and the community that you're hanging out with is, hey, look, we're all here. It's the village, right?
Yep.
It's the big argument of everybody coming together. I'm responsible for you, and you're responsible for me.
Yeah, exactly. Have people that you're there for, and have people that are there for you.
Exactly. And it's not like, oh, it's my job to take care of. No, it's when I say responsible, I mean, look, you need to operate under the understanding, under the common umbrella of, like in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
If somebody goes to set my house on fire, I'm pretty damn sure my neighbor's gonna call 911.
Hopefully.
If his house is on fire, I'm gonna call 911. You know, because A, it could spread to my house,
Yeah.
and B, well, I want him to call it for me. So it's just that kind of that sense of community, because we're always talking about the buzzword, right? Community,
Yep.
community. That's what community actually is. Community is complete strangers that maybe do or do not have anything in common coming together for a common goal, and that is the safety and hanging out at this convention. That would be a very good common goal to have.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why we're all going to this thing, right? TwitchCon in particular, because it's more of a community convention than a business one, or that's the goal anyway.
Right.
We're all going there to have a good time, to hang out with these people that we only get to see once, maybe twice a year
In person.
and just relax.
Right.
So it's not just up to Twitch, and it's not just up to the convention hall, and it's not just up to the law enforcement of the city. It's up to all of us to make an effort to create that safe and welcoming environment for each other so that we can actually relax, so we can do the thing that we're there to do.
Right.
You know,
And it sounds very kumbaya-ish, but
it does. But
to be honest, there's a raw, borderline, very selfish motivation for it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking stress. I don't want to have to be afraid to do this thing, and I don't want anything happening to me or my immediate loved ones. If everybody feels that way, then everything should be gravy.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. None of us want to have to stress out about this, so why not take the necessary steps so that none of us have to stress out about this? Whether you're approaching it from a selfish standpoint or not doesn't really matter,
Right.
as long as in the end we're all safe and we're all having that good time that we're there for.
Right. And I don't want to be on CNN, so nobody fucking do anything stupid at TwitchCon, please.
Exactly.
Anyway, I think that about does it for the show this week. We will have another one out the week after next because we do this still bi-weekly.
Yes.
Fox, what you got going on, man? What's going on in your life? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
I mean,
couple of days?
we've mentioned Hunter a couple times in this episode. I'm the manager for Hunter, the Hunter Wild. So I've always got that going on. We're just kind of coming out of summer, which is a slow time typically in this area of work.
Yeah, summer sucks.
Now everything is happening all at once. Got 1,001 projects that all need to be done yesterday. So I'm trying to get them all done.
Oh yeah, I feel you.
Accomplishing it, but I'm working on it. And D&D, I'm always on the Dungeons and Distractions channel on Twitch.
Are you up to like 5 days a week now on that show?
4 days a week. Every show that we have on the channel
Right.
I'm on. So I can't say no. It's so fun. I say that in quotation marks because the Sunday game.
It's gonna get better. Listen, it's the Sunday
It's
game's
gonna get better when
better.
it's over.
It's
what you're
never gonna
saying.
be over because the moment we finish this one, we're jumping in a dragon heist.
No. I was the punching bag for the last year for this show. It is someone else's turn.
Oh, you're not gonna be in the dragon heist show?
Oh, I'm gonna be in it.
Oh, okay.
But I am
All
not
right.
gonna be the punching bag anymore.
All right, cool. I will not also be the punching bag. I vote Mags be the punching bag.
Yeah, okay. I can agree to that.
Yeah, okay. We're all cool with that. Cool. Awesome.
Aside from plotting the demise of Hybrid Magpie, what are you up to, Spoon? What have you got going on? Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me. I'm not telling you my address, but you can find me at Spooner Sloth.
Where
on
can we
Twitter.
find you, Spoon?
Same thing on Twitch. You know where you can find me. What am I up to, man? As we mentioned in the previous podcast, I have switched from nighttime streaming to daytime streaming, and it has been it's only been a week that I've done it, and already the quality of life in both my home life as a husband, as a dad, as just me, has become so much better. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, yes, obviously I took a major hit, with the growth and momentum. I got to basically rebuild my entire channel almost from the ground up because I'm doing a totally different schedule. That's just how it works, right? So your favorite TV show
Sometimes
these days.
you have to make those changes in order to find the success.
Exactly. And that's what I'm working on, man. But outside of that, not much, dude. There's a lot of travel coming up.
Yeah.
Like a lot of travel. I think I'm gonna be out of state this weekend, and then I'm gonna be out of state again like 4 different times in October, moving on into November. There's just a whole hell of a lot of not just for TwitchCon but for BlizzCon. I'm going down to Oregon twice in the next like 4 weeks. So I'm kind of all over the place. I think the wife is going to Texas for a while. I mean, we're everywhere, man.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, that's
Travel.
That's why I said, like, summer's fine. Yeah, summer's great. The autumn and the fall, not only being the best, most beautiful time of the year, is also the busiest and hopefully the most lucrative.
Hopefully. But yeah, so I think that's gonna do it for us here for this episode. Thank you for joining us on episode 5.
I think we're at 5. Right? Yeah. We're at 5. We're gonna make a big celebratory holy crap if we ever make it to 10, which I'm pretty sure we will. But
so.
where can we hear this on Spotify?
Yes, on Spotify, on TuneIn, iTunes,
Google,
and Google Play.
Yes.
You can find it in video format on Spooner Sloth's channel. I believe he has a collection.
I do. I have it set
all
up
the
as a collection playlist.
And soon, on a actual central hub that will tell you all of the platforms that we're available on. That's coming very soon. I promise. I know I've said that for the last like 2 episodes now, but I actually have money to pay for it now. So
right. Not to mention this, I want to clarify before we close out. This is still kind of a passion project. This is we don't make money doing this podcast. We don't get sponsorship. We don't get advertised or anything. We do this podcast and we talk to each other because it is a hell of a lot of fun to do, and it's nice to have these kinds of conversations, and hopefully we can help spark some more discussion.
In a lot of cases, they're conversations that people don't tend to have because they can be touchy subjects, but they are very important to have nonetheless. So this is a passion project for us. You know, monetization is not even part of the conversation right now.
Right.
It's just we want to present this content to you guys, the listeners, the viewers, the people that want to get involved, and we want to see you start having these conversations as well. And actually, I'm going to use it as a segue. If you want to be a part of this conversation, you can use the hashtag Press Pause Podcast hashtag on Twitter to get involved, to tell us we're doing a great job or a shitty job, or we missed important information, or topics that you want to see covered in the future. Whatever it happens to be, get involved. We're listening.
Yeah, well, what is it you want us to talk about? We're not running out of ideas, but damn it, I want to know what you guys want to hear.
Yeah, well, what's important to you? Let us know.
All right, so that about does it. Once again, I have been Spoon of Sloth. And you?
HB Fox. I was like right in the middle of about like muting myself so I could cough.
No, you're not allowed to cough.
You're like the waiter that comes to the table.
You said you were feeling healthier, and now we're just rambling. All right, we're done, everybody. Take it easy.